So you might have noticed that the S&P 500 has had a very steady incline to the upside, and a lot of people are asking me, Serge, is it overbought here? Is it time to get short? And so what I wanted to do today is give you just a quick multi-time frame analysis on the S&P 500 through my lens, which is both a weekly and a monthly chart. And so we'll show you this right here. I'm going to flip the camera around. And the lesson really is, as always, my camera is dirty. But the lesson here really is that multi-time frame analysis is one of the most crucial things that you can do to actually start making money on a consistent basis in the stock market. And looking at the daily chart first, just to give you a little bit of perspective here, it would be very easy to look at this and say that the rally here over the past few days, past couple of weeks or so, has become unsustainably steep, and I wouldn't be necessarily against that statement. However, if you look at this from a momentum perspective, the oscillator called the MACD is just starting to push higher again on the daily chart. Now, more importantly though, is really what we're going to see on the weekly, and then most importantly on the monthly chart. So if you look at the weekly chart here, what we're seeing is that all along the S&P 500 managed to hold this yellow line, the lows both in, I guess, January, February, and then again in, what was it, late March, early April, something like that. And then once again, later on, I think, was it May or late April, we once again continued to hold this line. That's the 50-week moving average. It's roughly the 200-day, roughly speaking, the 200-day moving average. What you'll see here now in a weekly chart here too, we've had a very steep rally, almost breathless rally over the past, several weeks here. That again, that's what's a lot of people is concerning a lot of people. From a momentum perspective, you can see here too, from a momentum perspective, with the MACD moving average convergence oscillator, we're just starting to curl up from that perspective. And now, most importantly, and I'll quickly turn the camera around just to make this sound more serious as I'm looking at the camera. The monthly charts is something that I see very few retail investors and even very few pros actually use. So I'm going to make this a monthly chart, and then we're going to flip the camera so you can see this. And this is really where the perspective really becomes the clearest. So if you look at, forget the current market for a minute, look at, for example, this consolidation period here. This was from, let's call it late 2014, early 15 into summer 2016, arguably November 16 after the election. So we've had a very, well-defined consolidation period at that point. Fast forward to now, we had the S&P 500 top out in January, right? And then we have, of course, had that swoon to the downside. And what's happening now is we are seeing a very clear breakout out of this consolidation period, which lasted, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish months, right? And so from that perspective, this rally is really just getting going. If you look at the monthly candles, you'll see we continue to have exhaustion selling take place here once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And then finally, buyers came in July. And this now, of course, in August is the big rally. So to make a long story short, I don't necessarily think one has to chase the S&P 500 higher right here, right now. I would have no problem thinking that the S&P can come in a little bit, maybe ultimately retest, 280 on the SPY before we go higher, or at least consolidate sideways. So I think it doesn't have to be chased right now, but this is certainly, I think an important chart. Now, also I want to bring your attention to the webinar we're going to be doing today, Thursday, August 30th. I'm going to show you guys a way that we generate very steady income from the market. It's called Maximum Income Profits Trading Options. There's no hectic options trading here. I don't do that. It's the complete opposite. The strategy I'm going to show you guys tonight, or again, it's 7 p.m. Eastern, so it's 7 p.m. New York, or 4 p.m. Pacific time. The strategy we're going to show you is much more about how the professionals that I've worked with throughout my career and continue to work with, or as clients, that's how they use options. It's a very different way of thinking. It's very straightforward, but I see very few people doing this correctly in the retail community, and quite frankly, even in the professional community. So join us for that, again, tonight, Thursday, August 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And I'll see you guys there. The link should be down below in the YouTube video or in the email that you're watching this from. Take care.